Γιάκωβος, εμείς, Κυριακάκης. Δεν μου πέρασε Γιάκωβος, εγώ θα ήμουν εδώ, αλλά θα έχει πάει κάτω, θα είναι κάτω σίγουρα. Όσο ήμουν εδώ δεν πέρασε Γιάκωβος.
Διάβολος δεν τα οκόκηκε. Σίγουρα τρενάμε. Διάβολος πισέναμε.
Okay, quick welcome back. So some of you go up to the cave. Did you get up to the cave? So you've done your early morning workout. 257 steps. And then back down. So that's 500 altogether. So driving along, we have another 30 minutes until we reach Alafonisi Beach. And this area, until we get from here all the way to Alafonisi, is known as the Inohorian area. Which is also a protected nature reserve. Now I did briefly speak about the vegetation here on the island, some of the flowers, the beautiful trees that we see as we're going along, but does anyone know what the most popular tree would be on Crete? Does anyone know the most popular tree on Crete? I can hear something. Did anyone want to say olive tree? Not the lemon tree, the olive tree. Okay, so yes, here on Crete was the first place where they first produced the pressing of the olive to make the oil here. So the olive tree, there is a little over 33 million olive trees on Crete. So that's a lot of trees that produces a lot of oil. Now here on Crete every year they produce approximately 170,000 tons of oil, with a lot of that oil also being exported all over the world. So you'll probably be able to buy from the country where you come from oil from the island of Crete. So let's go back in time to our Minoan civilization, where they had access to the olive trees, they had access to the olives and the oil as part of their diet. And the Minoans, they were a very clever civilization, very sophisticated. And they used to pick the leaves from the olive trees to make beautiful designs on all their gold jewelry and ceramic pots. And also to the Minoans, and now as again nowadays, the actual oil is also used in religious ceremonies. They used it then with the Minoans, and they use it now in the Greek churches for the funerals, weddings and baptisms. Now, an actual age of a tree, how long can an olive tree live for? The actual age, the approximate age, can be between 300 to 600 years, which is pretty old. But there is actually one very, very old olive tree that's still living and producing olives. And this tree is found in the village of Vulves, which is on the west side of Crete, near to the town of Kolimbari. Now this particular tree, they reckon, the scientists that study Crete, they believe that this tree is between 3,000, maybe 4,000 years of age, so pretty old. And the fact that it's still producing olives, they've named this tree a natural monument. Now an olive tree can mean three things. It can mean wisdom, it can mean peace, and it can also mean victory. So first of all, we take the peace. Not sure if anyone knows the expression holding out the olive branch. If anyone has exchanged words with anyone, or you've had an argument, sometimes you'll say the expression, let's hold out the olive branch. The expression is there because the olive tree means peace. If we take victory, we go to the Olympic Games. In 1896, the Greeks first organized the official Olympic Games, which took place in the stadium in Athens. And there, in those days, where there were a little over 220 athletes taking part, the winner of every race was offered a wreath from an olive tree, because of the olive tree meaning victory. Now every 4 years, when they have the Olympic Games, and even now, there is a wreath that's made The reason for this is in Greece, a child starts school at the age of 6. And they say it takes 6 years for the olive tree to be first planted and then to produce its first crop of olives. So they had this kind of way of looking at it, that the child grew up along with the olive tree. Now the goddess of the olive tree was one of Zeus's daughters, and she was called Athena. And it was said, according to the mythology, that she offered the town Athens, or the city Athens, an olive tree. And that olive, the best oil that you can have is what's called the extra virgin oil, which is made from a light green olive that's not 100% ripe. And this particular olive is picked in the month of October. So they take then the olive to the factory, and then they have to, when they do the pressing of the olive to make the oil, they have to check the acidity content. The lower the acidity content, the better quality oil. Well, the best way to buy oil is either in a tin or in a glass bottle. That's the best way to store it. And if you get the oil, you check for the acidity content. If it reads anything from 0.1 up to 0.8 is very good quality oil. And of course, here on the island, it was the Cretans that developed the Mediterranean diet, which is one of the most healthiest diets in all of the world. And they use regularly the olive oil. 3 reasons to have oil. I think the best is the taste. Second, it's very high in vitamin E. So good for hair, nails and skin. And in general, it's very good for heart and circulation. And a very famous Greek philosopher and poet once said, Homer, was, you are what you eat. And he used to call the oil here on the island liquid gold. Gold for the color of the oil, and gold, as we know, also provides money and income. As the second main industry on Crete, apart from the tourism industry, is the production of the olive oil. Of course, as we go along today, you might notice the olive trees, but the olives at this time of year are very small, because when they are actually ready for picking, apart from the Koroniki olive,
Κάτσε να δούμε να τη συναντήσουμε. Από την Κονταρίδα λες.
αν δεν έχουμε κίνηση,
Ή πάω κάτω και βρω το Μαρκίδι να κατεβαίνει. Μας πάει με 20 χιλιόμετρα. Μακρύδι. 20-25, 20-25 και ευτυχώς ήμουν με τον Τόμας και μπήκαμε από την Κονταρίδα.
πήγες
Είμαι τη
κάτω,
Σιμώνα.
ναι.
Με τη Σιμώνα.
Ναι, γιατί αυτή δεν έχετε πάλι στην Κρήτη. Πήγες με τη Σιμώνα την Πέμπτη.
Και μου λέει όχι ρε γάμο το ναι, γιατί μου λέει όχι ρε γάμο το Μακρύδι μπροστά, γιατί λέω.
Πόσες φορές
συνέχεια πάει
πήγες
έτσι.
να πονείς πάλι και την Πέμπτη πήγες?
Κάθε μέρα πάω.
Πήγες την Πέμπτη και την Πέμπτη.
Δεν θυμάμαι.
Αυτή την Πέμπτη.
Νομίζω πήγα, ναι. Μετά την Χρυσό πήγα 2 μέρες. Και μετά με έβαλε τράσο. Και σήμερα πάλι μαζί σου. Εμένα δεν με ξαναφέρει στα μάτια.
Εσύ πληρώνεις τώρα, εσύ δεν ζήτησες να πουλήσει.
Δεν έχω πρόβλημα, αλλά είπα να τα κάνουμε όλοι όλα.
Πάρε έκανες
Πάλι
τώρα.
αλλάζει, ναι,
Έκανες
το
το πόρο σου και τώρα να.
Το παρακάνει.
Οι άλλοι αράζουν και εσύ τώρα...
Πού αράζουνε. Αυτό λέω, ότι πρέπει να τα κάνουμε όλοι όλα. Γιατί στη Ζαμαριά ξεκουράζεσαι, εδώ δεν ξεκουράζεσαι καθόλου. Στη Ζαμαριά έχεις δικές σου 9 ώρες.
Όχι, μπορείς να πας στην παραλία να κοιμηθείς λίγο, δεν είναι...
Πού, εδώ στο Ελαβανίσι.
Φυσικά.
Άμα πάω στην παραλία δεν με ξαναβρίσκεται.
Θα μείνεις
Τελείωσε.
εκεί.
Δεν ακούω τηλέφωνα, δεν ακούω, δεν ξυπνάω, δεν βλέπω. Θα γεμίσω τα μάτια μου τσίπλες, θα κάτσω εκεί, δεν θα ακούω το τηλέφωνο. Τώρα ψάχνετε με ελικόπτερο μετά να βρείτε που πήγα. Εδώ σε αυτό το σήμα είπατε για τη γιαγιά. Όποτε φτάνουμε σε αυτό το κόκκινο σήμα, η Σιμώνα. Η γιαγιά. Όχι, θα πάμε. Ξεκινάει και μιλάει για το έλας, οπότε θα πούμε.
Now, of course, driving through these mountains today, we'll see the odd bus, we'll see the odd car. And we'll also get to see the little mountain goat, the common mountain goat. But we will not see the wild Cretan goat. Ah, there. The little mountain goat, there you go. They're the common mountain goats. But the wild Cretan goat is called a Crete, which is actually an endangered species. Now this particular goat, Crete, is only found up in the Somalia Gorge, so very, very high. You'll also find the Crete goat on the island of Foveru, which is an uninhabited island opposite the bay of Agumarina, Stallo and Platinia. The difference between the common mountain goat that we'll see today, between that and the Cretan goat, the Crete, is the size. They are a lot larger in size and their antlers are a lot longer. Now, of course, on the mountains, what grows on the mountains? Just a couple of things if any of you are interested. If you like mountain tea, there are two very, very nice mountain teas. One is called the malotira, which is harvested this time of year. It's a light green plant with a yellow flower. And another very good tea that's only found here on Crete is dictamor tea, which grows in the gorges on these mountains. Now both these teas are very, very tasty drinks, but they also have medicinal purposes as well. So if you drink the malotira, it's good for sore throats, for headaches, if you have a little temperature. The dictamor tea is also very good if you have stomach problems. And of course, they both have anti-inflammatory agents. So if you have a little swollen joints or a little joint pain, they are also very good for that. So look out for the malotira and dictamor tea if you'd like to try it, which you can buy in any local market. Other things that grow here on the mountains that are not only endemic to this island, we have the thyme bush, which makes the honey. So the thyme bush produces purple flowers. And usually this time of year, this particular bush is flowering. So the farmers who have the beehives that make the honey will pick the flowers to make the beautiful flavor of the thyme honey, which in Greek is called thymari. They also have here on these mountains the lavender, the sage, and chamomile, and another very popular herb that's called oregano, which is also used in lots of seasonings of salads and for a lot of the cooking.
Κάποιος κάνει εμετό. Μα δεν είναι μέρος να σταματήσει. Εσύ δεν μπορείς να περάσεις.
Εκεί σταματάνε και μετά. Τι κάνανε, βρήκανε. Ιδανικό δεν είναι, δύο άξονες εκεί. Προκόψει το είναι.
Πάει ακά αυτός.
Θα το περάσουμε στην κονταρίδα. Μπορεί και να μην προκόψει, πρέπει να το έχει πάρει άλλο. Για τούτο αλλάζουν σαν τα πονησά του τα μάτια.
Αλλάζουν.
Μπορεί να μπαίνει και αυτός από την κονταρίδα, λέω.
Άμα πάει αυτός.
Να μας και πιο μπροστά.
Τι γίνεται τώρα σήμερα. Τι σαν να πάμε στη μέση στον δρόμο.
Now, as we've been going along and driving through the villages, each village has a sign. But the only reason why I talk about the village signs is because they're made of metal. And sometimes these metal signs have holes in them. And why have they got holes? It's because they have been made by bullets. So, a very happy Cretan man would have a gun and he would fire it in the air at the time of a celebration, which would be a wedding. And if the bride and groom are from surrounding villages, the actual wedding would be a very big celebration. and it's usually the father of the bride or maybe the groom would fire the gun in the air, and of course the village sign gets in the way, so the bullet will go through. So the more holes in the village sign, the more weddings the village has had. Now a typical Cretan wedding can be between 500 to maybe 1,000 people. It is a big event. And the food that they would have at a Cretan wedding, they would have lamb, and the rice is cooked with the meat juices and mixed with butter from goat's milk. Of course, they also would have the Greek salad, different kinds of foods, different kinds of meats and potatoes from the oven, and then lots of drink, lots of wine. Now, all over Greece, each area has its own type of music, and Cretan music has its own distinct rhythm. So if anyone's heard any Cretan music, it does have a different style. The instruments that you use for Cretan instrument and a bouzouki, which is very similar between a guitar and banjo. Now, of course, with the Cretan music, you would have the Cretan dancing. And I think every Tuesday now, if anyone was interested, they actually do have some kind of display of Cretan dancing in the old Venetian port in the harbour of Hania. And Cretan dancing is great to watch. It's very energetic with lots of difficult steps, and it's the men that do more of the work. That's probably the only time, huh? So, on the subject of alcohol here, wine. Crete makes a lot of wine, and they have a lot of grapes. Towards the end of the winemaking season, which is around October, they have a lot of leftover grapes, or the pulp of the grape. And the pulp of the grape is then made to make the drink raki, which is also known here as tikulia. Have any of you tried raki? Yes. Good. Do you like raki? No comment. Well, if you've tried raki, you know it's very high in alcohol. The actual raki can reach between 18 to 40%, so very strong. It was also a drink that the ancient Greeks had 1 glass a day. But if you don't like the taste of raki, you can always have it as antiseptic or pain relief because it's very high alcoholic content. Also as well, they offer you raki at every restaurant, or most restaurants, when you've had your meal and you ask for your bill. The reason for this is to help with your digestion. It has nothing to do with how much your bill is. It's always to do with the digestion. And if you do like the raki or have your raki, you're following a traditional Cretan custom. Now the other drink that we can have is the raki with the honey. And the name for honey in Greek is meli. So, honey raki, rakomilo, which is raki mixed with honey, which is also the same alcoholic content, but a little sweeter. Now, if any of you as well want to, maybe if you've never tried raki, you can also have a free shot from our friend Mr. Mikhaili at the beach. There's a kiosk where he sells all the local products: honey raki, raki oil, honey, tea, olives, and lots of other different things as well. So you can always try for free and stop at the kiosk as you come back up from a Lafonisi beach. Information about raki, and it will probably be the most important information that you will hear today. Are you ready, Costa?
I'm ready. Actually, it doesn't matter how you drink your raki, if you mix it or not. It remains always the same strong. It has to do with how much you drink. We used to drink it in small glasses, snapshots. So we have a saying here in Crete. What we say is that the first snap brings health. The second snap brings joy. The third snap brings happiness. The fourth snap brings good mood, when the fifth snap brings the police.
Okay, so remember that, guys, huh? Only 4 shots. And if you want to say cheers to your very friendly Cretan waiter, you will say yamas. And there's no rule how you drink the raki. Knock it back in one or sip it very slowly.
Φώναξα. Δεν φώναξα. Και μ' ακούνε και όλοι. Φωνάζω γιατί...
Τώρα κοίταξα, εδώ.
Βγήκαμε μπροστά.
Ο άλλος γιατρό από πίσω, ναι.
Ναι, τώρα ναι.
Στο κομπλές αυτός θα πάει να μυθάει τώρα.
Τώρα
Σε φάει.
κοίταξα. Τώρα.
Για να κατέβει αυτός θα φάμε σήμερα. Θα βάλει κανένα σταδιά. Αυτός όποτε έρχεται βάζει... Κάνουμε μπαρμπίκι.
So we have just about 10 more minutes less until we reach the beach of Elafonisi. So just a little bit of information about the area. The name Elafonisi translates to Deer Island. That's the actual area as it's called. It's also part of the Natura 2000 program, which was set up by the EU in 1992. The reason why it was set up is because they want to keep this as a protected environment to protect all the vegetation that is found at the beach. And because of this 2000 program, this is why there are less sunbeds. There are only about 90 sets across the whole beach. Also as well, it also means that the bus is parked at the top. So to walk down onto the beach, it's a slow, very slow 10-minute walk. But to come back, you need to give yourself a little bit of extra time, okay? This is mainly because of this 2000 program. No bus or car is allowed to go down onto the beach area. Now you might all think, let's go to the beach with the pink sand. It's not actually the sand that's pink, it's the coral shells that are very, very tiny and sit on top of the sand. But you have to look for it, okay? It's not so obvious. Yes, you will see it, but you have to do a little bit of exploring. Go slowly checking, it's all in little patches now. As over the years, with many people visiting, and also as well, we have this climate change. Many, many years ago, people used to come to Elafonisi and steal all the pink sand. They've all got it in their bathrooms now. But now, because of the Natura 2000, they are very strict. You are not allowed to disturb any of the vegetation. And just to basically respect the area. Now we have the beautiful Cretan Sea, and the color of the water is turquoise. In the deep part of the water, it's cooler than maybe the sea that you've been used to swimming in. There is the shallow side that's called the lagoon, where usually younger children go, and you can also walk through. That will be a lot warmer. And of course, it's a very beautiful surroundings with the mountains in the background, the golden sand, and the beautiful blue water. But unfortunately, there were two very sad events that took place at Elafonisi. If we go back in time with Crete, it was an island that was always occupied by other people, starting with the Minoans and then ending with the Ottoman rule, with the most significant reign being the Venetians, as they were here the longest, and the Venetians built up all the ports and castles on Crete. But in 1824, this was the Ottoman rule, and a lot of the Cretans were very sort of upset and angry with the way that they were ruling the island. So there was a lot of resistance. Some of the local people in the surrounding area of Elafonisi decided to take shelter from the Ottomans, and they hid out at Elafonisi beach. So they took all their belongings, including their animals. There was the sea that split in the middle between the Ottomans and the locals. But one day, one of the animals from the locals broke free. And of course, that animal was a donkey. Walked into the sea without realizing what would happen. When the Ottomans saw that the sea was shallow, they marched across the beach and massacred a little over 850 people. Many were women and children. So that was a very sad and tragic event that took place in 1824 on Easter Sunday in the month of May on the Elafonisi beach. The second tragic event happened in this area we're just passing now, which is known as Christmas Galley. On board the ship were 120 sailors. Unfortunately, the boat sank into the sea. Now the building we just see now on the right is called the Monastery of Christos Gallitissa, and living there at the time, the monks then risked their lives, dove into the sea and managed to pull out at least 20 of the sailors. Unfortunately, the remainder of the sailors on board this ship that was called the Imperatrix, they drowned. So the two tragic events, the massacre in 1824 and then the shipwreck in 1907. Now the actual monastery was built by the Venetians in 1501 and it was built in honor of the Virgin Mary, Santa Maria. And then, yeah,